So, how much G-force is typically experienced on Millennium Force's first drop? Well, to figure this out, we need to start by answering an essential question. What even is G-force? G-force is the force of gravity on matter. So pretty much, let's say if you weigh 150 pounds, and you ride a roller coaster that pulls 3 G's of force, you'll feel 3 times your body weight or 450 pounds. So pretty simple. So now that we know what G-force is, we can g- answer answer the question. To calculate the G-force on Millennium Force, we're going to be using FMA, where force equals mass times acceleration. So here is the formula, FMA. So, to get the acceleration, we need to take the velocity, or v, and divide it by the time, or t. So the velocity at the end of the drop is 93 meters per, not meters, miles per hour, or about or about 40 or 41.57472 meters per second squared. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to say about 42 meters per second squared. Now my math is using the exact, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to be writing 42 meters per second squared. And the reason why I'm doing this because, it has to be this for science to do the math. So this does not work, so just ignore that. Now, we to get the time, I went to the official POV of the ride, and I timed it, and I took 20 tests using a stopwatch that went down to the tenths of a second, and my average was 3.5 seconds. So we divide approximately 42 meters per second squared by 3.5 seconds, and that gives us about 12. It would be exactly 12 if it was exactly 42 meters per second squared, but it's not. So, yeah, so it's going to be about 12. So this 12 is our acceleration. So we're going to leave this off to the side and erase all this for now. So now for the mass, we're going to need to take the weight of the person riding. Now this is where the math can vary on how heavy you are, but since I'm going by averages, I'm using the average American. And to get the average American, I went to the CDC's page, and they have the average weight of the American man as 199. Oh, wait, 199.8 pounds, and the average weight of the American woman as 170.8 pounds. So when you add these up, you get 370.6 pounds. But we need to get the average, we need to divide this by 2. So we take 370.6 divided by 2, and that equals 185.3. And this is the how heavy the average American is in pounds, but we need to do kilograms, as everything needs to be metric. So this is about this is about 84 kilograms. So it's a little bit more than 84, but not by much. So for simplicity's sake, we get 84 kilograms. Now, these two numbers are important to get the force, or newtons. So, we take about 12, approximately 12, and times it by approximately 84. Let me put these in parentheses. So we take that, and that gives us so if this was exactly 12 and this was exactly 84, it would be 1008. But since these are approximates and aren't exactly 12 and aren't exactly 84, it is actually more like 998. It's like a very long repeating number, but it's about that. So now this is our newtons. So now our newtons are approximately 998. But to convert this into g-force, we need to divide this by 286. So this needs to be over 286. Because that is just normal newtons. But to make it into g-force, it's 286. And when you do that, that gives you that is approximately equal to 3.5 G's of force. Or 3.5 is that a G? G force. I cannot spell. Yeah, so that's approximately 3.5 G force. And that is how much is typically experienced on Millennium Force. 3.5 G's. Now, if you go and Google how many G's of force are experienced, you will find the maximum, which is usually not the first drop. Usually the first drop's usually the first drop is not in the maximum. It's usually the element right after the first drop, like the hill, or in this case, it's an overbank turn. But I am not focused on that, as that's not part of the main drop. It's the element right after. And this experiment was on the drop. Now, take what I say with a grain of salt. I am not a mathematician. But from my experience, from what I know, and from what I've researched, this is about how much G-force is actually experienced on Millennium Force's first drop. Thank y'all for watching, and have an amazing day.